Busy people getting fit in Fulshear, Texas. Our aim is to help you look better, feel better, and perform better as quickly as possible. I'm your host, Bryan White with Blue Eagle Fitness and Nutrition. Welcome. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Bryan from Blue Eagle Fitness and Nutrition. I am joined today by Dr. Melissa Hurwitz from Fulshear Foot and Ankle. Hey, what's up, Dr. Hurwitz? How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Bryan?
I'm doing okay. I have a little bit of cough. And in the background, you might hear my 9-month-old puppy, Toro. He's whining because mommy just walked home and just walked in, and I'm sure he's not getting the attention he thinks he deserves. But that's life with a puppy.
It's okay if he wants to make a cameo. I don't mind.
Yeah. Oh, he would love that. He would love that. Before we get started into what you do, go ahead and tell us a little bit about you as a wife, a mom, all that good stuff.
Sure. So I guess I would consider myself a new-ish mom. I have a 14-month-old son, Stanley, and it's just been amazing. I'm sure you know, as being a parent, not that you're a new parent, you're a veteran parent, but it's been wonderful. I know I've heard a lot of people talk about, like, before I got into this, before I was a business owner and a doctor and everything, aside from a mother, I never really thought about how that would kind of come into play, but it works quite nicely for me. I find it, I have a really good balance keeping my career and my identity, my sanity. And so it's nice, but also being a mom half the other time is also just got its own special, wonderful moment. So that, and of course, being a wife is also awesome. Having the support, from your other half is essential, especially when you're as busy as I am. So, and you too.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why the tagline at our gym is busy people getting fit.
Yeah.
People run around crazy, usually shuttling kids to and from a sporting event.
It's amazing.
Cool. So you said you're married. What does a perfect date look like to you?
A perfect date for me usually revolves around food, because my husband and I are kind of food obsessed. We both trained a little bit in New York City, and actually the Houston food scene was really exciting for us because it exists. And, I love to travel, as does my husband. So when we're not traveling, finding a new restaurant of a cuisine we've never tried before, even if it's like ants, we're really excited about it. So not to say that I'm not going to say that a perfect date would mean that we're eating ants, but in fact, when we became engaged in Cabo, Mexico, one of the, I guess, I don't know what you would call it, but the chef that designed the menu that we at the restaurant we ate at the night that we were engaged, it actually was centered around fire ants that was kind of placed in all the dishes, crushed up. So anyways, yeah, that's my brand of food, but I love new and interesting food.
Hey, mind to self, don't eat in Cabo.
Okay, Cabo's great. Highly recommend. Got great recommendations. Could tell you all about it.
Excellent. We'll save that one for next time.
Right.
Okay, so you are a doctor, foot and ankle in Fulshear. Tell me a little bit about how did you get into, because foot and ankle seems very specific to me. How did you get into that?
So, naturally, I think most doctors would probably tell you that the marriage of science and kind of hands-on with human beings is definitely a great, if you're interested in that, if that's your personality type, that's really where the passion of medicine begins. Helping people, obviously, is your primary goal in this, but then foot and ankle itself really kind of became an interest to me for the fact that, I'm really interested in sports medicine, number one, and without your feet, it's kind of hard to do a lot of things. So that, and the fact that there's, in my field, in my practice, there's a lot of versatility in terms of, on a day-to-day, the things that I treat. Somebody could come in with an ingrown toenail, believe it or not, even sports related, people wearing, tight cleats and things like that. But also somebody could come in with a really bad ankle sprain or even a broken ankle. So I really like that. I mean, even if you have like a weird mole on your foot, it's like, I can treat that too. So I really like being a regional specialist. I don't know if it has something to do with my personality. It's not to say that like I only want to treat feet, but it's just I think over time it's kind of for me. I've developed like a love for for this field, just for the fact that, that the versatility of it. And then also I really like the fact that there's a lot of things outside of surgery in the office that I can do where someone will essentially walk in the office hurt and not feeling so good and walk out feeling better. So I really, really enjoy that and find that fulfilling.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. Where is your office located?
My office, I'm really bad with geography. I was telling Bryan.
You're terrible with geography.
Yeah, so like not that's like world geography is one thing, but like actual locations of things that you're not like on your Google Maps trying to find, really bad. So, but we are located on Tiki Drive is our street, but it's basically a driveway which is off of 1093. So 1093 is essentially the street that we're on. Tiki Drive, you just turn onto it. We are really close to downtown Fulshear. And we're kind of in between downtown Fulshear and take it away, Bryan.
Well, Cross Creek, the main gate of Cross Creek, in between the main gate of Cross Creek and downtown Fulshear, off of Tiki Drive on the north side of 1093. That's where you're.
That's located. A great land. Yeah, that's a great landmark. Cross Creek is a really booming community. Along with like we have like the Fullbrook on Fulshear community is really great. Weston Lakes, we get a lot of people from there, so we're all in the mix over there.
Okay, cool. Cool. Now let's get into kind of why I wanted to talk to you, which is, as you know, our specialty is CrossFit and your specialty is foot and ankle. And those two specialties there can be opportunities for them to meet. So what type of injuries do you treat? And that may be more related to CrossFit. When should someone come and see you?
Both great questions, Bryan. So obviously, pretty much I specialize in the foot and ankle. We at Fulshear Foot and Ankle are familiar with all aspects of the foot and ankle, but essentially, when you're talking about CrossFit, that is somewhat of a different animal. There's obviously like different types of athletes that may have more common injuries, like basketball has its ankle sprains, and I guess soccer can also have ankle sprains and different types of injuries. But CrossFit particularly, I will say, you have a lot of these explosive movements. You have certain repetitive things that you're doing, that you're graduating to, and you're doing them really hard and really fast. So like box jumps, right? Like that, I know that's really common. All different types of squats where you're moving your feet different ways and things like that, and incorporating weight and stuff like that. So types of injuries that we're going to see from CrossFit can range from something as simple as an ankle sprain, which isn't always so simple. I can always get into that another time. I know we've talked about it.
Yep.
So there's different grades of ankle sprains, but there's ankle sprains. There's something called a Liz Frank injury that I would expect to see, more in like a CrossFit scenario where you have these like explosive kind of movements. A Liz Frank injury is like an injury of the midfoot where it's just like hurts in the middle of your foot after something happened, some kind of episode. Either, maybe you jump too hard on it. I don't know if you'll think this is funny. It's not funny, but I actually had a patient who I operated on a Liz Frank injury who dropped a weight on their foot, and a crush injury of the foot is also, something that we can see. And in fact, unrelated to CrossFit, but in the Fulshear area, we also get it from horses stomping on feet, but I know that's not related. It doesn't really happen.
A lot of my clients, a lot of my athletes, they have experienced some maybe not a horse, but cattle or something, some other farm animal stepping on them. Yeah.
Yep. But I would say like most injuries that can happen in any sport could happen in CrossFit, but like, those particularly, I think are two things that you would see in like an explosive kind of movement. But there's injuries of toes. A turf toe is a common thing that you can find. It has a lot to do with like overextension or overflexion of the big toe joint. Actually heel pain, believe it or not, which is something that can occur, in any individual. But, as far as CrossFit goes, because of the fact that you're doing all these explosive and kind of high intensity, or I would say, with, incorporation of higher weight kind of movements, you could have, a stress fracture of the heel, and it may be masked by you thinking you have something called plantar fasciitis, which everybody thinks they have.
Exactly. We'll come up back to that.
Sure. And then, there's other things, and just talking about stress fractures in general that can happen in any bone of your foot and ankle, even bones in your ankle that you probably didn't know exist. And a stress fracture itself, well, we can get into it anytime, but it's really, it's an injury of overuse. And overuse sounds like something that you're doing wrong, but it's not necessarily true. I mean, depending on, if you're not getting enough vitamin D, and even if you are doing everything right in the gym, and your bones just don't have the best quality, it could be genetic. There's many different reasons why that could happen. But that's part of the reason why people develop these stress fractures and real fractures, of course.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm imagining we have several people who are going to listen to you on this podcast about, and they run, and their feet are in pain because, they're putting in 20, 30, 50 miles a week. At what point, whether let's speak specifically to runners. At what point should the pain send them to a visit to you?
So, first of all, if you're running that much mileage, God bless you. And you're also crazy, no offense. I used to volunteer at a lot of marathons, and seeing people cross the finish line, especially the people in the front, I'm like, you guys are actually superhuman. I don't even understand. My brain can't even compute how you could run that many miles on its own. But for runners, it's tough. Right. So people who are runners, people who are CrossFit athletes, people who are really good at what they do, you guys, have this tenacity where it's anything, perfectionism, right? You want to get to the finish line. You want to be the best. You have goals, all these really great things that make runners and athletes who they are, and actually is why these things are so amazing. But unfortunately, I think that, and runners are included in this group. Unfortunately, a lot of people think that it's normal to have a certain degree of pain. And because pain is subjective, it's tough for me to say, when you should come as a runner, because I would argue that any pain is not normal. And if you've done, a week or two of running where you have this new pain, I would get it checked out,
Okay.
And someone might even argue a day of random pain, but it depends on what caused it, right? Some people, they don't have a cause. Some people, it just depends. It depends on the injury, but I will always say, any doctor will always say this, especially sports medicine, is pain is just not normal, even though it's kind of counterintuitive to what you're taught when you're training for sports, right? Even as a child, I remember hearing all the time that, hey, you gotta work through it, just muster through it, but pain is different, right? So being tired, trying to get more energy, things like that may be, I could understand that, trying to, increase, basically grow, right? You need to grow as an athlete, you need to grow as an active person. But I would say when it comes to pain, always get checked out, always.
Yeah. And I would highlight that, I'm 45 years old, and, 30, 35, 40 years ago, coaches, pain was the point of the workout, right? If you're not in pain, then we're not doing something right. And now through these decades, and now it's been decades, we've learned, pain is a signal that your body is giving you that something isn't right, and it may be worse than we want it to be. And a visit to a specialist such as yourself isn't going to harm your training.
Yes. And actually, another thing I just thought of, just kind of piggybacking on what you're saying. Because also I know when you're working out, let's just say you take someone who hasn't been to the gym ever and you throw them in, and it's they may say the next day, oh God, I hurt all over. I mean, It's not uncommon. And this, Bryan, even better than anyone else, that, to complain of discomfort or muscle aches after working out when you haven't been, or maybe working a new muscle group, that's different. And I know sometimes it's hard to, I guess, define, what is pain, what is pain that's okay. But I think that like when you're talking about parts of your back and it's kind of like a slow, insidious thing, and it also like improves with rest, that kind of thing. And it's not like, prolonged. It's not continuing on. It's not lingering, the same kind of pain, or even like super acute where it's like a huge amount of pain all at once. I mean, sometimes it's just common sense. And even if you don't think you have that, because common sense isn't always common, even for me sometimes. So I'm not any better than anyone else. For me, like if I don't know, if I think something's wrong with my car, right? And like, I'm not sure, like if it turns out I brought it to the mechanic and they're like, well, she's stupid, there's absolutely nothing wrong here, I would rather just be safe than sorry, right? So that's kind of how I feel about going to the doctor. If you think something's wrong with you, I mean, I actually want to tell you a story really quick. I had not related to CrossFit, but a little athlete. I had a 12-year-old girl who presented to me just vague pain on her foot. And, her mom, she's a dancer, really into dance, doing a lot of ballet.
I understand that life. Yep.
Yeah. You have a little girl that does ballet.
I did. Yep.
So super into it, really good at it. They were so proud, the parents showing me the videos of her dancing, and, super articulate little girl. I mean, very, very smart. And so she can explain herself and what she's feeling and things like that. And, she was telling me, I'm getting this pain like all the time. And I'd like to know what's going on. And so we do an x-ray and she has just like a huge honking fracture of one of her metatarsals. And that's the thing, is that I always tell that story to a lot of my patients who feel silly when they come in, because they're like, oh, I just stubbed my toe and it hurt. And this is stupid. I shouldn't have come in. But like, you actually could potentially always have something wrong with you, especially if you're unsure about how to treat it, or you don't know, what to do. You're better off coming in when you're not sure, So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I tangent a lot. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's okay. Well, that was the main question that I really had for you today. So I really appreciate talking to you. I hope this was useful to you as well.
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome. I can tell we can have another conversation. We can get it recorded and I can ask some more questions about foot and ankle injuries, because it sounds like you have a lot of passion there.
Yeah, I over explain, but that's just my personality. I know there's some doctors that you'll go in and they kind of just say, like, abbreviate it, and that's fine too. It's whatever, that's why every doctor is different to fit your personality type. But I really like educating people, and especially my patients, on what's going on with them.
Awesome. Great. I'd love to hear it. Well, thank you for joining me, and we will talk to you later. Sound good?
Sounds good. Would love it.
Okay. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye. You can get every episode of Busy People Getting Fit wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. You can also reach us at busypeoplegettingfit.com. Until next time, thank you for listening.